particularly profound section of the Manual for Teachers, section 8, which answers the question, how can order of perception of difficulties be avoided? First, let's do a meditation. So just going somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed for the next 20 minutes, putting your phone on mute or silent, sitting comfortably in a meditation posture. So feet shoulder width apart. If you're sitting on a chair, cup your hands in your lap. Just keep your back straight, close your eyes. And just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Okay, should I put the cat out?
No.
Okay. All right, so just taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, noticing how the stomach rises, chest rises. This subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You squeeze the sphincter muscle. That's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. And that just locks the energy in, also creates a pumping action. So you just pump the energy up the spine, into the crown of the head. Put one hand on your heart just to anchor your attention into your heart space. So it's a maximal inhale breath. Just in the pause between breaths, just noticing whatever happens to be arising for you at the moment. So any thoughts and emotions, particularly anything that feels negative, contracted, constricting, limiting, unpleasant. And just notice the thoughts and the emotions that go with it. Notice any physical sensations that show up along with it. And just breathe into those. If you're feeling a bit of discomfort in your heart, maybe a block there, a knot in your stomach, maybe you clenching your jaw, clenching your fist, just pay attention to these subtle cues. And take another sip of air and just kind of breathe into that. Bring some openness, some spaciousness into it. You feel that energy dissipating as you do that. And you can just make a choice to let it go. So just use today's idea. This is from Workbook Lesson 276. The Word of God is given me to speak. Another way of saying that is the word of love. The essence of love is given me to express in whatever way. It's not just about speaking words physically. It's about our words, our actions, our very being, our presence in this world. And so just as you say that, have a sense of a relief. You're just letting go with the breath. Just letting go of all of that wound up feeling, that negativity. It's like a coiled up spring, and you just release it like a dark black smoke out of your mouth. You feel the spring releasing, and you just sinking in to this peaceful place in your mind where there's no judgment, there's nothing to be judged. You can just rest in that peace for a few moments. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just empty for a few moments. Smile, notice there's this lovely peace that arises in these little moments of emptiness. And then you breathe in again, so noticing how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, squeeze the sphincter muscle. Feel this life energy rising up the spine like a warm wave of energy, just rising up into your heart center. Keep one hand on your heart. Just feel the weight of your hand, the warmth of your hand, this warm tingling sensation being drawn up the spine with your breath all the way up into the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale, take another sip of air in. So it's a maximal inhale breath. You smile. Just notice this lovely, empty, open, expansive, spacious awareness in your mind. Just breathe that into every pore, every cell, every muscle. If you visualize well, you can imagine a golden or white light flowing into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle. Just breathing it into the very essence of life and love into your body, into your mind, into your energy system, infusing you with the light of the world. And now exhale. Just sigh it all out. It's like a sighing sound of the ocean, just breaking back, a wave breaking back into the ocean. Make this little sighing sound in the back of your throat. Just keep your mouth closed. It's called the Ujjayi breath. So just get into that nice rhythmical pattern. A nice deep full inhale, the stomach rises, chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, squeeze the sphincter muscle. Feel a warm tingling sensation flowing up your spine. It's the life energy or Kundalini energy that's trapped in the base of the spine most of the time. So you're raising it up into the crown of your head. Take another sip of air and pause, smile, for no other reason than that you're here now, aware, alive, completely present. Just starting to become aware of the light in you. It's always been there, but obscured most of the time by your thinking. And now you exhale. So keep your mouth closed, sigh it all out. Make a little sighing sound in the back of your throat. Chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down like a wave breaking back into the ocean. And you make that sighing sound. Just pay attention to all these subtle sensations of the breath. Just bring your mind completely into the present moment. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next 10 minutes or so. Just breathe, relax, be still, settle into this nice, deep, slow, rhythmical pattern of breathing. Step back, watch your breath. Imagine as you keep breathing that a lovely, lump, heavy, warm, relaxed feeling is flowing into the crown of your head, down through the back of your head, through your face, relaxing your jaw, smoothing out any lines of tension in your face. Just breathing into the tension, this open, expansive feeling just seeping down like warm water into your neck and your shoulders. Just noticing any tension you're holding there. We hold this tension unconsciously most of the time. So just noticing any tension there and just breathe into it. As you exhale, sigh it out and just drop your shoulders down. You can roll them forward, you can roll them back. Just feel this lovely, lump, heavy, warm, relaxed feeling tingling down from your neck and shoulders through your upper arms, through your biceps and your triceps, down through your elbows, to your forearms, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. So your arms are completely lump heavy, warm and relaxed, just getting more and more relaxed. with every breath, sinking deeper and deeper into this lovely lump, heavy, warm, relaxed feeling. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, just step back, breathe, relax. Watch your breath sink in a little bit deeper into your mind with each breath. Breathing in again, imagine a lovely lump, heavy, warm, relaxed feeling flowing in through your fingertips, through your hands, your wrists, through your forearms, up through your elbows, through your biceps, your triceps, up through to your neck and your shoulders, just noticing any remaining tension there. Breathe into it. Another deep sip of air in, and just as you exhale, sigh it all out. Make that sighing ujjayi sound, and feel this warm, tingling sensation just seeping down. It's like ocean waves just filling up your whole upper body, through your chest, your middle back, down into your stomach, your lower back. It's just warm ocean water. Imagine you're in the Red Sea, 40-degree water in midsummer. It's just really warming, comforting, just seeping down into your stomach, filling up your stomach. Your whole stomach is lump heavy, soft and warm. And then flow down from there through your groin, your buttocks, down into your knees, through your thighs, back of your thighs, knees, shins, down into your calves, filling up your calves, seeping down into your ankles, your feet, your toes. So your whole body, from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, just to a little sweep of your entire body, is completely lump heavy, warm and relaxed. Your mind is relaxed, calm, clear, empty, open, but aware. Just keep watching your breath to maintain that awareness. Any thoughts come in that are obviously distracting or disturbing, thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future, just let them go gently with your breath by just returning your attention to the breath. Then you can imagine, as you exhale, just breathe them out, blow them away with the wind of your breath. These temporary thought forms are like cloud patterns. They have no power to obscure the eternally serene sky of your true awareness. So sink into that. It's nice, calm, empty, open, spacious awareness. You're an empty vessel, a clear sky. And you just listen to these words dropping in to your mind. Think of them as pebbles dropping into a pond, plop. Because your mind is so still, it's a very still, calm pond on a windless day, and each pebble has an impact. The ripple effects are noticeable because your mind is so still. And listen on a deeper level of your mind with your heart. Listen energetically. Listen for the essence of the words, the frequency. It's not about the intellectual understanding. It's about feeling into these words. Really feeling the states of mind, this true beingness that they point to. So just keep watching your breath, keeping your hand on your heart center to anchor you into your heart's presence as you listen to just a couple of paragraphs. This is from section 9 of the Manual for Teachers, which is an answer to the question, are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers? So let's hear what Jesus, our teacher, has to say about this. Changes are required in the minds of God's teachers. Love's teachers, if you prefer. You can always substitute the word God for the word love. So I'll do that as we go along. Just keep watching your breath, staying nice and still, calm, empty, open, but aware. So these changes may or may not, change in the mind of God's teachers may or may not involve changes in the external situation. Remember that no one is where he is by accident, and chance plays no part in God's plan. It is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the newly made teacher of God's training. There is, however, no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized. There are those who are called upon to change their life situation almost immediately. These are generally special cases. By far the majority are given a slowly evolving training program, which as many previous mistakes as possible are corrected. Relationships in particular must be properly perceived and all dark cornerstones of unforgiveness removed. Otherwise, the old thought system still has a basis for return. So just pause and reflect on that. Maybe you've been going through some changes in your own life recently. Sometimes it can feel like things are falling apart. You're losing things, people, relationships, possessions, jobs, achievements. But in truth, these changes are always helpful. They are designed to help you to undo the ego. Generally, these changes start with a change in mind, but sometimes this gets reflected in a change in circumstances, which from the ego's point of view can be quite traumatic, but from the Holy Spirit's point of view is just part of the curriculum, part of the awakening process. It's actually designed to help you to awaken. So keep watching your breath. Let's continue. Just got one more paragraph. It's a very short section, this. So Jesus says, as the teacher of God, a teacher of love, advances in his training, he learns one lesson with increasing thoroughness. He does not make his own decisions. He asks his capital T, teacher, for his answer. And it is this he follows as his guide for action. This becomes easier and easier as the teacher of God, teacher of love, learns to give up his own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing God's voice, the voice of this eternal loving presence, is usually a fairly slow process. Not because it is difficult, but because it is apt to be perceived as personally insulting. The world's training is directed toward achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our curriculum. The world trains for reliance on one's judgment as the criterion for maturity and strength. Our curriculum trains for the relinquishment of judgment as the necessary condition of salvation. So just pause on that thought. Very profound couple of sentences to end. Jesus is telling us very clearly that the world's training, the world's thought system is in direct opposition to this course. We cannot believe in both. We cannot hold on to our own judgment of people, places, events, things, circumstances, and the world, and hear this voice for love. Because that judgment was designed to shut out God's voice, the voice for love. So we must give up our own judgment and let go of the idea that this is somehow personally insulting. Only the ego could be personally insulted because it is the personal self that judges all things through its lens. and suspicion to viciousness, and that's its range. So it's very easy for it to take offense at anything. So just watch your breath sinking in just a little bit deeper for a couple of minutes of silence to end this meditation, and just allow these profound ideas to sort of permeate in. Maybe something arises, and we get some insight into your own life situation through these principles in the next 2 minutes, or maybe it's just a time of complete emptiness and openness, where you just feel the presence of this non-dual spirit beyond judgment, beyond the world. So step in, watch your breath, sink in to this holy place in your own mind, a place beyond all judgment. Lay all those judgments aside for the next 2 minutes of silence, and just be in the stillness and the peace of God, peace of love for the next 2 minutes of silence. When any thoughts arise to disturb this deep peace, just watch them casually, very calm, detached way. Imagine they're just like cloud patterns drifting across the sky of your mind. They have no power to really obscure this eternally serene sky of your true awareness. So just blow them away as you exhale with the wind of your breath. Sink back in for another minute into the stillness and the silence that are your true nature, for another minute of silence. And so just gently coming back into an awareness of your body through the breath. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pressure of your hand on your heart, if it's still there. Put it back there if you want. Squeeze the sphincter muscle. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up. Draw it up the spine into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. Connect with the peace and the stillness. hopefully a little bit more pronounced than 25 minutes ago. And just anchor that state in, so you can stay connected to that for the rest of the session, the rest of the afternoon. Set that intention and just keep some attention on your breath to anchor this peaceful presence in. So it is said, so it is done. Exhale, sigh it all out. Letting the air flow out of your nostrils, make a sighing sound in the back of your throat. The chest and the stomach just gently suck back in. And just come to rest in the lower stomach. Tension in the lower stomach and the groin. Just feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Feel what you're feeling with your hands, any subtle sensation of flow of air or anything on your skin. Breathing in. So 2, just noticing any smell in your nose as you breathe in. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice any sounds that you're hearing. Just allow all these sense perceptions to arise and they subside. Nothing really lasts in this world. So just notice how these things arise. They subside in your perception, in your awareness. And you don't have to judge them. Name them, label them, judge them. So it's this that Jesus is talking about, this judging of our sense perceptions. Creating meaning, interpreting them, is what causes us to lose our peace, causes us to go into illusion. And it's this relinquishment of judgment that's absolutely essential. For you to be a teacher of God, a teacher of love in the world, because judgment and love are opposites. Love is one, there is nothing separate or different or distinct to be perceived in love, but in judgment, well, there are millions and millions, billions of differences which seem to be justified, which seem to justify separation. And so this leads us nicely into our discussion, which is all on about perception and order of difficulties. How can perception of order of difficulties be avoided? So 3, just open your eyes, take 30 seconds just to look around, just reorient yourself by looking around, but again without judgment, just noticing the various things around you for a few seconds each, then move on to something else. Do that for half a dozen objects. Just be aware of how peaceful it is when you perceive without judgment. When the mind is not active, you don't have to name these things, to label them, to interpret them in any way. So they all become the same. So what you're connecting with is this underlying awareness that is beyond perception, that is beyond judgment, which is the major goal of all spiritual training, is to connect with this ground of being. It's been called this underlying reality. It's fundamental truth, which is awareness itself. Not awareness of anything but itself. So thank you for listening. I'm going to bid those on the WhatsApp group farewell. You're welcome to jump into Zoom and join us if you'd like to. Those out there on YouTube, stay tuned. We're going to have a discussion session now, which is all about this idea of perception and judgment and order of difficulties. So some very profound stuff. Thanks for listening to the meditation, and to those in the WhatsApp group, namaste, which means the divine love in me acknowledges that same love in you. Okay, so mute Karen. Shall we do a little check-in or expression session? just take a few minutes just to say what's going on. What are you feeling right now? Just make it very present, very, very personal. What's going on in your life, in your world? Anything arising for you, and we can then discuss those things. Once again, it's not about commenting. So you just listen, and everyone has their say, and we can discuss anything that arises later. Okay, Hazel, do you want to open the door? It's getting a bit stuffy in here. Karen, do you want to start?
I can. Sure, I don't really know where to start. I find that the meditations just bring me a little bit back down to earth, and then I feel like all the rush and everything of the last few days, I feel a little bit sort of sleepy after the meditation. But I suppose that's good, just to take the foot off the gas, I suppose.
It is indeed.
Yeah, it was a really, really busy week. I had the first promotion of the new product that we launched on Friday. I was under double umbrella in the shade the whole day, and I still got sunburnt. So I was on my feet the whole day and very sunburnt after this promo, and feeling a little bit sort of tired, and couldn't really get to sleep on Friday nights, and then woke up Saturday morning and had another sort of 6-7 hours of the next promo for the product, which was great. I had my business partner in the morning helping me for a few hours, but then she left, and I was standing there like with all the people coming past and all the questions, and I found myself just sort of listening to my intuition and guidance in some of the questions that were asked. Had a little breather there, leaned back against some wood, sort of just touched the wood to ground myself, and just got grateful for the opportunities. And I was very tired last night. Yesterday evening still did my yoga class, and then I actually slept really well last night, which was great. So but I mean, I think it's, for me, it's like almost like a paradox at the moment, because there's so much excitement around the new product from everyone, but there's still all the kind of like deep emotional stuff going on as well. So I got a lot of comments, you look great, or you looked as if you were on top of the world, or whatever. And then on the same token, maybe people that know more what's going on, or what's been going on lately, have said, we can't believe how you actually do that, how you manage to just gather everything that you've got inside of you, and look as if you don't have a care in the world. It's not like I want to be unauthentic or wear a mask, and there's times when you do have to do that. But I think I'm just trying to find like balance in myself to acknowledge that there's going to be hard days and rough days and emotions around finances, and people think I'm doing this for the money, but I'm not. I'm actually doing it because it's my passion. And if I sell something, it's not about the money. It's about actually changing people's lives. And I think that kind of lights up my soul. But on the same side of things, I'm genuinely really like needing to earn something for what I put in, because I feel like the balance is skewing. And that's, again, it's not so much about the money, but it's about that balance. And I feel it's becoming uneven now, because I really feel like I've pulled my weight in this business this year. And I need to be compensated in some way, because we've all got a few bills to pay, and we've all got things that we need to buy for ourselves. And so that was quite a lot, but that's just honestly where I am at right now.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. We'll discuss some of those themes a bit later, because there's very interesting stuff coming up there. Hazel, do you want to...
was a lot discussed with COVID, I've been put it in such a good way, but it's not really personal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say that I've still got this no feeling. I love that Afrikaans word. Just can't get over it. It's my son, and then today, with that lady not pitching, I mean, she apologizes and all that, but there's always something when she comes to me, has to come to me. So I haven't seen her for a month because of it. She's made another time, I think. Okay, fine. She comes. She doesn't, she doesn't. But I actually wanted you to learn to listen.
Okay. Anything else? How are you feeling?
I'm also very tired. I sleep well back. I just woke up feeling tired. I wish I'd been able to sleep more, but I wake up at 5:30 and it was that. Usually I can sleep in again, but my son is playing on my mind. And the fact that I tried to get hold of my other son to see what he was doing today, but he didn't answer, so perhaps he is working. On Sunday, over the weekend anyway, he used to fly to St. Helena every second week, but that hasn't happened since lockdown. I don't know. Don't hear from the family.
How does that make you feel?
That I'm not very interested, and I've heard this from other people anyway. The younger said are not interested in the older people. Very, very few. They're too involved in their own lives. It's not just me saying that. A lot of them.
Okay. How does it make you feel?
Redundant. Yeah, you really do. All your you don't have work anymore. It was nice to look after the children last week, but even they pushed up into their parents' room, sat on the bed and watched the tablet all afternoon. When I said, "Hi guys, how about a bit of company?" And they came through and they watched it in the lounge where I was. But my granddaughter is very responsible. She had to study, which she did. I didn't have to prompt her. And she said, "Gran, what would you like to look at on Netflix?" It was rather sweet of her. And she said, "How about Egyptian archaeology?" I said, "How did you know?" I actually love that program. I'm very interested in archaeology. I've been to Egypt, and they are discovering things left, right, and centre now. I'd give anything to go back. I could talk on that because it's actually very interesting. They even found out it was the tomb of a priest.
No, well, let's not go there. Not about Egyptian archaeology. It's about your feelings. What do you?
Yeah, I know. That's
what are you feeling?
What
are you thinking? That whole domain of intellectual knowledge, and although it's very interesting for the ego mind, it's actually not. We're talking about illusions. What you need to really be present with is how you feel. So you raised some interesting themes there, which actually we'll cover in this section that I want to read about perception and how you let go, order of difficulties and miracles. It's actually a very profound section.
So I keep thinking, how did I react to my parents? But they had each other and they had enough money. And I must admit, I feel a bit bad because I used to see more of my mother-in-law than my parents, because they were always at discord and all that. And I know, I think I thought, well, my parents are fine, kind of thing.
It's a universal theme. And what you experience is probably what Almost every person who gets older starts to experience.
So I don't know what your time's like to get at it. Oh, the lucky things I can just laser around. Don't you believe it? It's the exact opposite. Really, you don't feel you've got much left in life.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's just me today.
okay, well, it's fair enough. You're expressing what you're feeling. So we'll address these things. I think old age is tough because everything in form
Very tough.
is dissipating, isn't it? It's disintegrating. So you're getting older. Your relationships with your children are no longer as close as they were because they've got their own lives. Naturally, they've got their own lives. They've got their own families. They get busy, and as much as they might like to spend more time with you, they've got all kinds of other stuff going on.
The reason why he says that I should be working, that's the whole thing that he disagrees with me, is because his father, although he was on drinking in the past, and I was the one who kept the whole family going. They were too small to realise it. He was in and out of jobs while I kept the family going. Now, because he's changed, the present wife of somehow, I know she's threatened him, got him off the booze. And now he's doing something part-time. So that's why I'm sure this is influencing him to think, well, because before he didn't want to know him. He ignored him, he came with me when we got divorced. Now it's a total reversal. Every Sunday they're on Skype tutor, which I'm happy about. I'm not saying, because it's amazing how he's changed. I don't know if it's a matter of him being, what is the word? He's matured, or he's just off the booze, or both. I think that. But I'm not getting the benefit of that. But anyway.
And so you feel a bit hardly done by.
Yeah.
Well, we've discussed this before, but the principle is the same. You've got to look at your own thoughts and feelings and go, okay, so how's that making me feel? If I'm feeling rejected, abandoned, redundant, as you said, then I've got to look at that feeling, because that's the feeling coming from the ego. If I truly know I'm the divine self, that self has none of those feelings. The divine self is certainly not redundant. The divine self is just pure love. And that's who you really are. So all this stuff coming up is just the ego. And it's being revealed. It's being revealed by these circumstances. So it's actually very helpful. If your true goal is enlightenment, is to collapse your ego, to correct your mind, ultimately to transcend time and space, then these things coming up are very helpful for you, because they're showing you all these little aspects of the ego that might have been buried for years, while you were in your sort of prime and you're working, and so often we get really busy, and now you've actually come to a place where you're retired, so you're not that busy. But there's a gift in it, because the gift is you can really take the time, you can pause, you can reflect on things, you can go deeper into spirituality, you can do the spiritual work, because that's actually all that really matters.
I do that every day, every morning before I start my day, and I have got interests now that have started up since the opening of the centre.
But you see, it's not really about the interests. It's about going within and going, okay, my job is to find out who I really am, and to say really connected to that and rooted in that.
Yeah.
And so I'm not defined by my family, by my interests, by the world around me. This is what the Course is trying to teach us. Then you're invulnerable. It doesn't matter what your son does.
Someone said to me today, which is so true, a friend of mine, you don't love yourself. This is the whole crux of it. I never have. But I have been doing something for about 2 months now. A hypnosis on how to love yourself. Doesn't make the slightest difference. I feel good at the time, but after that, like today, it actually relaxed me. it actually relaxed me. I think I've been very uptight about the whole thing.
Well, that is doing
But,
something.
Yeah, it's doing something, but at the moment I need to improve. And she said, when I started off with her, it's my ex-boss that actually I'm still friendly with. She's 10 years younger than me, and she said, go to this lady on the internet. And
Someone guides you through the session.
she does hypnosis. Very good. And there's other ones I must look at actually. Got a whole string of things. And it's so true. She keeps on bringing up as her examples. Princess Diana, because her mother left her when she was 6. She never had a good feeling. Because this is another thing. I can't understand where this has come from, unless it was a previous life. Marilyn Monroe was another one. She actually said, no one loves me. I've got to get the whole world to love me. That's how she looked at it.
That's why she became famous.
Yeah. Well, she achieved that, but she never achieved self-love. And Diana's mother too. Diana. It's her mother leaving her at 6. That I can understand. Even though a man went out with like that. His mother deserted him when he was 5. Yeah. Always looking for love. Like a butterfly going from one woman to the other. I can see it in someone else.
Well, it's a story of the ego.
Yeah.
What we're all looking for is the love we think we've lost. And we think we're going to find it somewhere outside of us. That's the ego setup. It's saying it's not in you. It's in another person. It's in another relationship. It's in a substance. We have love affairs with, substances, with activities, with, all kinds of stuff. And actually what we really want is that self-love. We just want to connect with divine love and feel that total love, that we totally loved, no matter, what we've done or said.
Yeah. And someone said it's connected, I can't remember who said this, connected with guilt. It's a lot to do with guilt. We feel that we don't love God anymore because we left him.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. It's a deep guilt.
Exactly. Because if you make this goes back to our discussion of last week, if you make the decision to separate from divine love, then you project that onto your version of God and say, no, God has abandoned me. And then we play that mental pattern out in our relationships. Oh, well, someone's abandoned me, you see? So your son's abandoned you, but that's just a reflection in this world of the fundamental idea that God's abandoned you.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
So now you don't have the love and you feel separated and you feel alone and abandoned and rejected, which is of course what the ego wants you to feel, because that is what it's made up of. The idea that love is nowhere, and now all that you're left with is this feeling of feeling bereft and abandoned and rejected, and you somehow trying to have to cope with yourself and the world in that separated state. And what Jesus is saying is it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Lack of love is the entire problem.
Yeah.
And so love is the atonement, that one-ment with love is the answer.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's just happening on such a deep or high level in your mind that it's difficult to realize, and it's difficult to see how we play out these patterns in our life.
That one-ment atonement is in your mind. You have to get to it in your mind, but
exactly.
It's flipping difficult. Not easy.
Well, it's that's the task. No, if it were easy, then we'd all have done it. We wouldn't be here in this world still thinking we're human. But it's possible. What Jesus is saying to us is actually it's very possible. This is very doable. And I've done it. And I will be your guide. You want to do this? I've been there, I've done it. I'll show you exactly how to do this in one lifetime, which is a very unique opportunity because this course didn't exist in your previous lifetimes. It only came into being in this.
This course, really.
Well, there's many paths. Spirituality. You'd find another version of the universal curriculum, as Jesus calls it. But you know, in my view, my humble opinion, because it is just an opinion, that this is the fastest way. It's the quickest, fastest way. If you really want to undo your ego.
Yeah.
Because it goes to the very core of it. And he doesn't hold anything back. He's not sort of, some spiritual paths will sort of go, well, the ego is kind of, you need the ego in this world, and the ego is your friend. And Jesus is saying, no, it's really not your friend. And you must undo the entire thought system. You can't have a little bit of evil and still be in perfect love. They are mutually exclusive. It's one or the other.
And you know, one thing, I don't know if you can explain, James got his tongue out. Why is it that animals really love me? They do.
I don't know.
But,
they just pick up energy.
You know, but perhaps I don't need to learn lessons from animals. Mostly that's what it is.
Well, animals pick up energy. So, you know, if you're a nice sort of loving person, they tend to resonate with that. You know, they like hanging out with, you know, that energy.
So when you say, okay, you talk about a loving person, but if that person doesn't love themselves, how can you be a loving person?
Well, that's a good question. It's a very good question. Actually, fundamentally, you can't.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, like what you're trying to do in the world is express love, is get love in worldly relationships. But the real source of that love is internal. If you really find that internally, you don't need any kind of love, as we would call it, in this world. What your son does or doesn't do, it really doesn't matter. You said the other day, well, that's unnatural. Well, it's only natural. It's only natural to feel that way. But remember, this is natural in terms of the ego's thought system. The ego's created the whole thing. It's made up the world, it's made up special relationships, and it's saying, oh, well, now it's natural to be abandoned by your son and to feel rejected and to get old and to die.
Can you attach that to special relationships?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. We were like this.
Yeah.
That's why it's so hurtful.
Yeah, but you got to understand, Hazel, that's how the ego works. In fact, Jesus even says the special relationship was, the Holy Spirit was the answer to the ego, and the special relationship was made up by the ego in answer to the Holy Spirit as its primary weapon to defend itself.
Yeah.
Because now you've got these special relationships with these special characters in the dream who seem to be more special and more unique to you anyway than anyone else. Well, all that's doing is it's confirming specialness in your own mind. It's confirming, well, I must be special. If I'm in a special relationship with this person, then I must be special. Special Hazel has a special relationship with her special son, and it's all very, and then what happens is once you get nicely sucked into that and all entwined, emotionally intertwined, then the ego, that's a perfect forum for it to go, oh, well, now we'll start to create some turmoil, some chaos, and cause pain and suffering because you're so attached. And that's exactly what's happened. So a special relationship, special love can turn to special hate like that, which is a characteristic of all special love. You know, special love and special hate are just two sides of the same coin. They're actually one and the same thing. Temporarily, you might seem that this is amazing and it's all special love, but very quickly that can turn to special hate. Anyone who's ever had a special romantic relationship will have experienced that. You can get, oh, it's all lovely and this person's amazing, and then they do something you don't like, and then you feel like completely destroyed and vulnerable and emotionally wounded, and because you got attached on the one side, and then that allows on the downside the ego to use that relationship to juice itself, to tell you, yes, there's lack of love, you can be hurt, you can be wounded, you can be rejected and abandoned, and it loves that. All that whole story is what it feeds on.
I don't look at these detective movies. I should have actually, because one was about the murder of a woman by a so-called friend man. They were very, very friendly. something happened and he actually imprisoned her, did awful things to her, and eventually murdered her. And yet they were very good friends originally. I should have looked at that.
Special love,
Yeah.
it's a special hate, because it was never really love.
Yeah.
What underlay it was specialness, and if you believe in specialness, then you have to believe in guilt. This is what Jesus is saying. Guilt and sin and fear and attack go hand in hand, because if I'm special, then I've really separated from love. Then there's this deep metaphysical guilt at having destroyed love and oneness, and that guilt will play itself out in the relationship. Or because I can't deal with the guilt, so what do? I project it onto the other person. You're the guilty one. You're the evil one. You deserve to be punished by God, not me. So now I'm off the hook as long as I project my guilt in the form of blame and attack onto you.
Yeah.
And so that is the underlying dynamic behind every special relationship. And Jesus is saying to us, we've got to change the nature of it. In the form of the world, your son will be your biological son for the rest of your life. But it's how you perceive that relationship, because the relationship is really happening in the mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the relationship is all it's mind and it's thoughts and it's emotion. That's what the relationship is made up of, not the biological. He was born in a body as your son from your womb. That's not really where it's at. The ego's used that to now attach you especially to this character in the dream. Said, oh, well, he's your biological son, so how can you not feel that way? But we all get set up for these special relationships from birth, because we have parents and we have siblings. And so we're born into these special families where these special characters seem to be more special than other people to us. And so they can hurt us specially too. And the job is, this is a major part of the path, is to undo all of that in your mind. And the only way you undo it is seeing these thoughts and emotions that are negative, that are hurtful, and going, I don't want this. Why would I choose a special relationship when it's actually death? Because that's what it is. Specialness equals guilt, sin, fear, attack, murder, death. And Jesus is telling us that over and over. This is what it is. If you believe in specialness, you deny oneness, and you have to accept the ego's whole thought system. There's no option once you've done that.
But how on earth, I know there's a section in Course in Miracles, how did this ego start up, in your words?
Well, this is the paradox. It's a tiny mad idea. We discussed it yesterday. But the problem is, if you ask that, what are you actually affirming? If you ask the question, well, how did the ego start? The question itself implies that the ego exists, doesn't it? And so that's a question only the ego itself can ask. Oh, well, how did I start? And the Course is really saying, well, I didn't start. You didn't start. It never happened. Because that's the only way out of the conundrum. You want to make it real in your mind and go, well, how did the ego start? And then how did it continue? And how did it perpetuate? And well, what's it doing? It's making it all real in your mind. And so it continues. So what he's trying to get us to do is to look at it and say, okay, like I can see there's this illusion of a self and there's an illusion of a world and etc. But I'm not going to keep buying into that by saying, well, how did this start? Because the truth is it never really started. That idea is false, and it always will be false. And whatever came from it is false. And so the entire world, the entire universe, our entire experience here in separation is false. So now why do I need to ask all these questions about how did the false arise and why did it arise? And Jesus is simply saying it's false. False is false is false. So don't make anything more of the false than it is. It's just untrue.
Yeah.
It's not real. It has no existence. Now, if you keep asking questions about, well, how did it come into existence? You just keep perpetuating the illusion that it has an existence. Do you see that? So it's very tricky, because the ego is very tricky. But this logic, the logic of the course of this non-dual teaching is the only way out. If you're really honest with this, it's the only way out of the conundrum. If you keep making the ego real and you keep asking the questions about how the ego arises and why the ego arises and analyze the ego and go, well, it keeps making it real. It's trying to get you to realize that it's not real. So it has no real existence, and you don't need to ask yourself these kinds of questions.
It's actually better to believe in Satan than ego than an ego.
Well, it's the same thing. It's just a
Yeah,
word.
no,
Whatever you call it, Satan, the
because
devil.
Satan's out there, you know,
Yeah, but it's the same.
a part of you.
But it's the same. You see, it's the same delusion. As long as it's out there, then the ego is not looking within. What the ego really fears is that you start to really look into your own mind and go, okay, it's not out there. God is not out there. The ego is not out there. It's all in my own mind. These are thoughts and ideas going on in my own mind.
Yeah, sure.
And so the only place I can possibly correct them is in my own mind. There's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to really wake up, because you start to look at this thought system, and it's horrendous. It's horrific. You go, this is the horrifying thought system when you really start to see it. It's not an easy journey, but in the seeing of it, it starts to dissipate, because what's seeing it? There's an awareness in you that's seeing it, isn't it? And going, oh my God, this is quite horrendous. There's this murderous entity in my mind that, you know, wants to hate and kill and fear and attack and loves pain. It wants me to experience pain. It's addicted to it. This is horrendous. But once you see it, you can start to undo it and go, okay, I can't believe in it anymore, because there's another part of me that can see it. So what's that awareness that can see it?
Okay.
And that awareness is what the Course calls the Holy Spirit. Awareness is something else. There's a true self. There's your true nature that isn't guilty or fearful or doesn't need to play these games of anger and attack, and it can just look at all this and go, this is just ridiculous. It's nonsense. This isn't true. This isn't real. I don't need to buy into this. I can be happy and I can be peaceful no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what the ego is trying here, because the ego has been spinning dreams and illusions forever. No matter what it's doing, I don't have to buy into any of it. And there are no exceptions. This is what Jesus is trying to teach us. Don't make exceptions. You make one exception, like for instance your son. Well, there's the whole of the ego's thought system in that. Then you buy into specialness. That means you have to believe in guilt and fear and sin and attack and sickness and death. The whole thing goes with it. Because once you take one step down the path of separation, the whole thought system unfolds. The ego is logically consistent within itself, even though it's insane at its foundation. But once you decide that you're special and you want to be an individual, unique, separate self, then you have to accept the whole thought system.
But some people who aren't on this path at all, they seem to lead a carefree life, or comparatively speaking. I don't know.
Well, that might.
You don't know what is going on inside.
Of course, you don't know what's going on inside.
Okay.
So it's very easy. I mean, it touches on something you said, Karen. You know, people go, oh, you know, I don't know how you do it, and it's amazing, and because they just see the physical, they see the appearance, and you know, people can fake it. People are masters of, you know, smiling, and you put on a nice face for the world, and everything seems to be okay. But inside there can be emotional turmoil. There's a lot of people who do that.
Actually, especially, I've just made me think of it, business world, the show business world, they're all smiles all the time. But they seem to have an awful lot of
well, you know, you mentioned the likes of Princess Diana, Marilyn Monroe. It's a common pattern. You listened to that Marisa Peer's talk, didn't you?
That's her.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I'll send it to you, Karen. She's a hypnotherapist, and so she's consulted to the stars. You know, Princess Di was one of her clients, Amy Winehouse, various other, you know, Hollywood stars, people in show business, that kind of thing. And she said the problem is that they fundamentally, they don't really love themselves. They don't feel that they have any worth. So what they do Their strategy is to go, oh, well, if I become rich and successful and famous, then I will get that love that I'm missing. Marilyn Monroe's, I need the world to love me. So, okay, I'll go and become a famous star, and I'll be the darling of the world for a few years.
Yeah.
But then they get there and they go, there's nowhere to go now. I've done it. I now have the fame, and I still feel as bereft as I did before. In fact, possibly worse.
I actually wondered what would have happened to Princess Diana if she had lived. I just hope the sun wouldn't have turned on her. Because she lost her husband.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
He never did love her.
Who knows? But you can't make up for an internal lack. Oh, you're closing it. Do you need to, Hazel? Do you need to go? It's 1:45 almost.
1:45.
Yes. Yeah. Are you going to stay or go? Now would be given it started raining.
I was going to say.
Do you want my brother to let you out?
Is that your brother?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Time's gone fast.
Or you can stay. It's up to you. Because we're just going to read this. You're going to stay. We're just going to do some reading.
Okay. I just don't want to skew off to 4 though.
Okay. Well,
so if it's easy for you, I'll go now.
Let's go for another 20 minutes, and then. So I'm just going to share my screen, Corin.
Especially the rain. Hopefully, will have dissipated a bit.
Yes. Hopefully it will. This is a really brilliant section that touches on so many of the central themes in the course. So let's just take turns reading. Have you got your course there? It's section 8 of the Manual for Teachers.
Okay, shall I start?
Yeah, do you want to start, Hazel? How can perception of order of difficulties be avoided? Is the question.
The belief in order of difficulties is the basis for the world's perception. It rests on differences, on uneven background, on shifting foreground, on unequal heights and diverse sizes, on varying degrees of darkness and light, and thousands of contrasts in which each thing seen competes with every other in order to be recognized. A larger object overshadows a smaller one. A brighter thing draws the attention from another with less intensity of appeal. And a more threatening idea, or one conceived of as more desirable by the world's standards, completely upsets the mental balance. What the body's eyes behold is only conflict. Look not to them for peace and understanding.
Okay. Anything stand out there for you?
The last thing, what the body's eyes behold is only conflict. Look not to them for peace and understanding.
Well, he's saying it very clearly, isn't he? What I love about the course is he really doesn't mince his words. There's no ambiguity. Saying, look, it's only conflict. If you look through the body's eyes and you're trying to find peace there, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find peace and understanding in what was designed as a setup by the ego. It's designed to show you that conflict is real.
Yeah.
The body's eyes, the physical world is a construct of the ego. Look not where you will never find it. If you keep looking for peace and understanding in a place where they simply don't exist, you're only going to be disappointed, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the story of the ego. Seek and do not find. Okay, so I'm looking for peace somewhere in the world, in a special relationship, in an achievement, in something I'm going to do, and it's just not there, and we can never find it. And then we go, oh, well, that hasn't worked, so let's try another one. Let's try another special relationship, or another whatever it is, another accomplishment, another achievement, another person will work. And he's saying, spiritual awakening is just the realization it's not going to work, ever. The ego is never going to work, ever. And therein lies your awakening. It's like, okay, well, if it's never going to work, then I just need to do away with the whole thought system. Why hold on to any part of it? It's simply not real. Okay, Corin, do you want to read any questions on paragraph 1?
No, thank you.
Do you want to read paragraph 2?
Okay, great. Illusions are always illusions of differences. How could it be otherwise? By definition, an illusion is an attempt to make something real that is regarded as of major importance, but is recognized as being untrue. The mind therefore seeks to make it true out of its intensity of desire to have it for itself. Illusions are travesties of creation, attempts to bring truth to lies. Finding truth unacceptable, the mind revolts against truth and gives itself an illusion of victory. Finding health a burden, it retreats into feverish dreams. And in these dreams, the mind is separate, different from other minds, with different interests of its own, and able to gratify its needs at the expense of others.
Okay, anything stand out for you there?
Number 3, by definition, an illusion is an attempt to make something real that is regarded as of major importance, but recognized as being untrue.
Yeah, which is kind of what we do, what the ego does. It's like, this is majorly important, except underlying that, somewhere in the depths of your mind, you know it's not really true, even though you're trying to convince yourself it's majorly important.
So, I have a different kind of like feeling on that one. So I often think that things are really important, and they're not. But my experience, just a few things that have been happening lately, is that there's a lot of things and a lot of focus on things around me, about me, that others see as majorly important and I don't see as true.
Okay.
That's really hurtful for me.
Okay. And does that create any issues for you? Do you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I feel kind of like we're trapped in a way and watched. Makes me feel very kind of like awkward and not free.
Yeah, so that's what the Course would call projection. So other people can project their stuff onto you, their own illusions, and they're holding you to a false self-image. But it's only your own mind that gives that any power. So remember that. Ultimately, the power is yours, because it's up to you whether you're going to buy into that or not. So it's making you feel uncomfortable. That's good, because it's showing you that somewhere this isn't right. You're out of alignment with your true nature, and that discomfort is there to bring that into your awareness. And then you have a choice to say, okay, am I going to stay here and buy into these illusions and allow people's projections to influence me, or am I just going to go, actually, I'm free. Whatever they think or say really doesn't matter, because I'm the Christ. I am free. I am one with this eternal loving presence. That's my true nature, and that simply cannot be changed, twisted, or distorted in any way by other people's thought. It's up to me, what I choose to believe about myself. And when you're really rooted in that, then whatever anyone thinks about you, says about you, really won't affect you, because you just, I am that I am. That is the fundamental truth of me. And your opinion, your perception, this whole section is about perception, really means nothing. It's meaningless. If they were truly enlightened, they wouldn't be projecting these kinds of illusions onto you in the first place. So by definition, they're in their own egos. They're playing their own games. There's illusion going on in their own mind, and you're part of that. And then this is how it happens in a collective dream. We hold each other to illusions. We keep each other in bondage through our own misperceptions of ourselves. We project those onto others. That then perpetuates the illusion in their mind, and we keep each other in this prison, which doesn't make anyone happy at all. So, and it does take quite a lot of courage to do this, because people who are still wedded to illusions, if you start thinking this way and acting this way, and maybe you say certain things, they're going to go, you're very strange. You're not who you were before. You're not, the old Karen that I thought you were. You don't fit the mold anymore. And that disturbs them a bit, because who are you becoming? I want you to be that, and actually you're not being that. But you have to be willing to go there, because otherwise those people hold you in prison in your own mind, because you give them power over you. And there's no happiness in that. You'll never find happiness in that. It's just control and manipulation, and really the ego is just controlling you through them. It's actually your own mind, your own self-deception that you buy by allowing that to influence you. Does that help? And does it make some sense?
Very, very much so. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read paragraph 3. So where do all these differences come from? Certainly they seem to be in the world outside. Yet it is surely the mind that judges what the eyes behold. It is the mind that interprets the eye's messages and gives them, quote, meaning. And this meaning does not exist in the world outside at all. What is seen as, again, quote, reality is simply what the mind prefers. Its hierarchy of values is projected outward, and it sends the body's eyes to find it. The body's eyes will never see except through differences. It is not the messages they bring on which perception rests. Only the mind evaluates their messages, and so only the mind is responsible for seeing. It alone decides whether what is seen is real or illusory, desirable or undesirable, pleasurable or painful. And that is a very profound paragraph. There's quite a lot in that. So I guess what really struck me is it is the mind that interprets the eye's messages and gives them meaning. Its hierarchy of values is projected outward, and it sends the body's eyes to find it. So this is absolutely fundamental to understanding how the ego works. So we have a false idea about who we are. We then project that outwards, apparently into an external world that we've made up. That now shows us that these false beliefs are true, and we perceive these apparent proofs, these external things, people, circumstances, and event in this false world, through our body's eyes, which was set up exactly to do this. Now we perceive it all as true. And so projection makes perception, and perception reinforces projection. And that's how the illusion perpetuates. And we think that what we're seeing externally is true. But actually, it's just a projection. And our perception makes it real. We say what is seen as reality is only what the mind prefers. So you want to believe in falsehood, you project that out, you create a world that shows you falsehood is true, and then you perceive it as real. And that keeps you in the illusion that all of this is real and true, and your false self is true, and you really are human, and you really are separate, and you have a body, and so on and so on. So this is a really, absolutely, that's why I said it's a very fundamental section. This is pointing to these ideas that you really need to get your head around this to understand how the ego works. Right? Everything's a projection. It seems to be happening out there. That's the illusion, but it's not really, because it's actually a projection of beliefs in your own mind. So your son appears to be hurting you by going, I want nothing to do with you, I don't want to talk to you, you should get a job. But actually it's a projection of your own mind feeling I'm abandoned, I'm unworthy of love. And now that is manifesting in the situation through your son. Now your perception perceives it as real, feels wounded and hurt, which just affirms that you lack love, that these fundamental beliefs that caused the projection in the first place are true. Do you see that? And so it keeps recycling, keeps recreating the same thing. We project something that's false. We perceive it as real. That confirms that those false beliefs are true, which confirms projection. Now we project them out again, and we just keep recreating the same pattern over and over and over again. Can you see that? And if you're really honest, you'll see how you've done that your whole life. You've got certain fundamental patterns and beliefs, and then you keep recycling, projecting, perceiving over and over and over again to confirm that that belief is true. And never question. The ego never wants you to get in that loop and say, hang on, what's really going on here? Projection, perception, these are two sides of the same illusory coin. I need to get in the middle, separate them, create some space and some awareness, and go, actually, maybe the beliefs aren't true, so the projection's not true. So therefore, whatever I'm perceiving with the body's eyes isn't true. So my perception isn't true. So whatever I'm perceiving that's reaffirming my beliefs is false. And that's the way you start to undo the false beliefs and the false persona that is made up of those beliefs.
Yeah, well, I've got this guy living next door, exactly the same thing from day one.
Yeah.
It's
So it's a pattern.
didn't even know me, he just ignored me.
But can you see that? It's a pattern.
Mm.
Someone you don't even know ignores you, but what's that about? Why? How does that come about? And then if you take it personally and you go, oh, well, there we go. That's just more proof that I'm unlovable because everyone's ignoring me. But there's the setup, isn't it?
Mm.
Because the ego is showing you what it wants you to see. Yeah? What is seen as reality is simply what the mind prefers. So we've made it all up. We prefer it. And then what perception does is it selects these things. And we focus on it. And we go, oh, look. And now we focus on it and it plays on our mind. Oh, that person rejected me. That person didn't, this person didn't turn up for lunch. This person didn't phone me. My son doesn't phone me, but and now you focus on what you want to see. Do you see that? And this is how the mind works.
Yeah.
And so you start focusing on the negative, on what perpetuates the illusion of your ego, instead of on things that show you love. You mentioned, your granddaughter the other day was, quite loving, and she said, well, let's watch a nice program on Netflix. So there's something else to focus on. Okay, that's a little symbol of a connection, a joining of something else, of another thought system that is about, just loving someone, just not playing any games, just being genuinely helpful and kind.
Yeah.
So what do you want to see? That's the question. And so what he's saying is you have a choice, right? It's the mind that is responsible for seeing. Only the mind evaluates the messages that you receive. So you see things, you perceive things with your physical senses. A lot of this is not under your control. Something happens, you see it, you happen to be there. But how you perceive it is absolutely under your control, because it's how you interpret it. Do you see it as real or illusory? Desirable or undesirable? Pleasurable or painful? That's your choice. And so what he's trying to bring us to the awareness of is we have a choice, always. In everything we perceive, everything we see, we have a choice. How do I want to see this? How do I want to see the glass? How do I want to see this person? How do I want to see this situation? I have a choice. And there's only two choices, which is quite helpful. So if there were hundreds, then it would be difficult. There's two. There's the perception of love through the Holy Spirit, and there's the perception of the ego, which focuses on differences and separation. So you want to read paragraph 4.
Yeah, it's really cool. It is in the sorting out and categorizing activities of the mind that errors in perception enter. And it is here correction must be made. The mind classifies what the body's eyes bring to it according to its preconceived values, judging where each sense datum fits best. What basis could be faultier than this? Unrecognized by itself, it has itself asked to be given what will fit into these categories. And having done so, it concludes that the categories must be true. On this, the judgment of all differences rests, because it is on this that judgments of the world depend. Can this confused and senseless reasoning be depended on for anything?
Okay. Anything stood out for you there?
The mind classifies what the body's eyes bring to it according to its preconceived values. And what you've been talking about.
Yeah. Judging where each sense datum fits best.
Yeah.
So it's a setup. Perception is a setup. We've created a world, an seemingly external world, a body, simply to confirm in our minds that what we see with the body's eyes and all these unpleasant things, challenging things, difficult things are real. And then the mind goes, well, see, it's real. Of course it's real.
So what happens to a person who's blind?
Well, they're still in the world, they've still got sense perceptions. They just can't see. In fact, it can be quite spiritually helpful because they've got to go within.
I think so, yeah.
The visual sense is the most dominant one. So take someone like Helen Keller. She was blind, deaf, and dumb. And yet, she awoke spiritually. She was an amazing woman because something in her was like, okay, it's not, I've got nothing out there. I can't perceive the world. So I've got to go within, and it's a world of the mind and ideas. And so it made her go within rather than seeking outside, because we think sight is such a great gift. But what it does is it so apparently real that it keeps sucking the mind into these illusions and going, the illusion's real. Look, you saw it. Did you really see it, or was it a dream that you saw? Was that figure really real, or was it just a dream figure? And quantum mechanics says very clearly, the body is, this is insubstantial. There's nothing really here.
Yeah.
It's a construct of the mind. It just seems to be real. Okay, should we just finish this? We've got 2 more paragraphs. Karen, do you want to read number 5?
Sure. Okay, so there can be no order of difficulty in healing merely because all sickness is an illusion. Is it harder to dispel the belief of the insane in a larger hallucination as opposed to a smaller one? Will he agree more quickly to the unreality of a louder voice he hears than to that of a softer one? Will he dismiss more easily a whispered demand to kill than a shout? And do the number of pitchforks the devil he sees carrying affect their credibility in his perception? His mind has categorized them all as real, and so they are real to him. When he realizes they are all illusions, they will disappear. And so it is with healing. The properties of illusions which seem to make them different are really irrelevant, for their properties are as illusory as they are.
Yeah, anything strike you there?
So the first part, there can be no order of difficulty in healing merely because all sickness is an illusion. And also point 7, when he realizes they are all illusions, they will disappear.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of humor there. I love to say, because there's actually quite a lot of humor in the course, saying, do the number of pitchforks the devils he sees carrying really affect their credibility in his perception? So he's actually taking the mickey out of us a little bit. He's going, so you think this is all very real. You're like, how many pitchforks are these devils? But an illusion is an illusion is an illusion. Is it harder to dispel the belief of the insane in a larger hallucination as opposed to a smaller one? He's trying to get us to see there's really no order of difficulty in miracles, because an illusion is an illusion is an illusion. There's no hierarchy of illusions. On this level, in the level of illusion, it seems that there's bigger things and smaller things. It seems that there's problems that are bigger and problems that are smaller, and things we can solve easily and things that are just unsolvable. So for instance, with your son, Huge problem. You can't, but it's all an illusion. And so what he's trying to get you to see is that. And if you can just dismiss it and say, it's still an illusion, it's not real. And so if I'm making a big thing of it in my mind, that's illusory. Because I'm selecting this, I'm choosing to make it into a big thing in my mind, and a big problem.
It says inside is with healing. I don't know if I can put my, having had that accident where I had to have it off of my back. I don't know if you can call that sickness. I've been trying so hard to think, what the hell did I have that accident for? Why is it not with pain? Call that sickness?
Yeah, pain, sickness, death, it's all part of the same thought system. And what it's designed to do is to show you you're not love, you're not eternal, you're a body, you're separate, you're vulnerable, you can get old, you can get sick, you can suffer pain, you can die. This is the ego's thought system. That's the price we pay for illusions. Yeah. It's a heavy price if you really want to look at it. Old age, sickness, death. And we think this is, you said it's natural, but it's not natural. Jesus is saying the whole world is really an unnatural place. This is out of accord with your true nature. And none of these ideas and beliefs make any sense. They're insane.
They say that, I think I'm not getting too far off the point. These people who are, what do they call them? They have a chromosome missing and they...
Down syndrome?
Yes. Mm-hmm. They say they are very happy people. Perhaps if we were all like that, this world would be different. Are they not, perhaps they're not perceiving like we do?
Yeah, exactly. They don't have the same judgment. So, we think, as he said, we think our judgment is such a great gift, but actually our judgments cause us a lot of grief and pain. And the ego is telling you, well, you can't relinquish judgment because your judgment protects you. Your judgment helps you to navigate your way in this dangerous world. And where would you be without judgment? But actually, if you really relinquish judgment, as some of them do, because they simply don't have the intellectual, they haven't developed that cognitive intellectual capacity to start doing all the judgments that most people do. There's an openness, there's a love there that's just very pure and innocent, which is what we're all looking for, but our judgment keeps us away from it because we're so convinced we're right. Of course, you can't just love everyone. That's impossible. You've got bills to pay, and you've got stuff to arise, and you've got to make provisions for the future. And there's all these kinds of thoughts that really keep you in prison, if you're honest. They keep you away from this, infinite divine love. On a practical level, you have to kind of function in the world, but so much of what we think is functioning and operating normally is actually just dysfunctional. It's really not normal at all. Okay, so let's to wrap it up. I'm going to read the final paragraph as a little meditation, just to close this off. So, Hazel, do you want to open the door? I think it's stopped.
Yeah.
Get some fresh air for the last 5 minutes. Thank you. Yeah, fine. Okay, so just making yourself comfortable. So just closing your eyes, sitting comfortably, cup your hands in your lap. Just connect with your breath. Nice deep inhale, nice deep exhale. Just create some space and some openness through the breath. Breathing in. Just feeling this nice, open, calm, empty, spacious awareness. In your mind. And you're just going to listen with that pure awareness. Just let these ideas drop into this calm, empty space in your mind that you've created. The body's eyes will continue to see differences. The mind that has let itself be healed will no longer acknowledge them. There will be those who seem to be, quote, sicker than others, and the body's eyes will report their changed appearances as before. But the healed mind will put them all in one category. They are unreal. Just keep watching your breath, breathing nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. This is the gift of its teacher, capital T, teacher, the Holy Spirit he's referring to. The understanding that only two categories are meaningful in sorting out the messages the mind receives from what appears to be the outside world. And of these two, but one is real. Just as reality is wholly real, apart from size and shape and time and place, for differences cannot exist within it, so too are illusions without distinctions. The one answer to sickness of any kind is healing. The one answer to all illusions is truth. And so on that note, just breathe in, one hand on your heart center, smile, and just remember that. Just feel the power of those words. The one answer to sickness of any kind is healing, because the one answer to all illusions is truth. It's the only answer. It's true or it's untrue. This is a simple distinction that Jesus is trying to train us to make. Whatever you see through the body's eyes is untrue. It's a construct. It's a construct of the ego mind, designed to show you untruth and try to convince you that it's true. So just give thanks for this amazing teaching, the simplicity of it, the power of it. It's been given to us to help us to make the only choice we can make in our lives. It's the choice for love rather than fear. Choice for truth rather than illusion. The choice for health rather than sickness. So make that choice now. Just breathing in truth, the healing light that this brings in. Imagine a beautiful golden or white light flowing into your stomach, your heart center, your third eye, into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle. And just give thanks that this truth is with you always. It's never really left your mind. It's still there, it always will be there. And if you allow it, it will come into your mind and help you to make the choices that we have to make while we're still in the domain of time and space, of perception. To be able to see the truth for the illusion. To choose wisely. So, just give thanks for the session, for this great teaching, for the mighty companions we have with us on the journey. And Just give the rest of the day and the week ahead to the Holy Spirit. Say that you're open to the guidance. He will give you the guidance to see truly, to make the right choices, to let go of what you need to let go of, and to keep your mind in truth. So it is said, so it is done. And so gently open your eyes, look around, and just notice whenever you come out of a meditation, how you're feeling. Just for a few seconds, just anchor that state in, because that's what it is, a state of mind, a state of being. Just anchor it in so that you can carry it with you for the rest of the day and on into your week. And I wish you a very good week ahead, and much love and peace. Thank you for joining if you're out there on YouTube. Thanks to Hazel and Karen. Hope you enjoyed that session. Karen, I don't know if you want to, I'll go offline just now. I'm just going to see Hazel out. If you want to have a little chat about the course and stuff for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to let her out. So.
Can't you, brother?